Hi, Senators. My name is William Davenport. I live in Lincoln. My wife and I are Senator Raybould's constituents. I have two concerns that it appears that you are being asked or expected by the governor to sort through something like 120 different sales tax exemptions and determine which ones will remain, which ones will be eliminated, or maybe be reduced, or maybe be increased. I don't know. And that's a pretty big responsibility in a 2-week session. The other concern I have, among many, is, okay, we get this done, we're going to fund schools with state funds. What happens if we have a recession? What happens if 1.6 billion suddenly becomes 700 million? What happens to those school districts? What happens to those school children? Do another special session? These taxes that we just got. I think there are a lot of questions, and right now there are very few answers, and I do not envy you with the task ahead of you.
Good evening, thanks for being here. My name is Linda Nelson. I'm a longtime resident of Lincoln, and I'm a retired school teacher, which probably colors part of my comments here tonight. I have lots of issues with the proposed tax plan, but I want to focus on one tonight because I believe that his proposal likely destroys, if not outright beginning to damage initially, local control over public education. I don't think he has a clue how important local control over our schools is to Nebraskans. And I got to tell you, no matter what part of the state we live in, no matter how big or small our community, no matter what our party affiliation, Nebraskans have always believed, and still believe, that is a fundamental right to control our local public schools. Our schools are an integral part of our community's identity. They belong to us. They don't belong to the state of Nebraska. Now, the governor and those who promote this plan will probably try to tell us that it's no big deal. They can take it over. But the simple fact is that once the state fully funds our schools and once they set limits on how much each community can create their own tax base, they literally have allowed us to lose control of our schools. The state then, not the local community, gets to set their own definition of what a quality school is. That's big. The state can use the power of their purse to dictate curriculum, influence class size, influence who we hire, to tell us when we can remodel or build new buildings. And they can even decide which sports we offer and what extracurricular opportunities we offer as well. Now, how would they do that? Well, they do it by deciding how much we get to spend each and every year. Our local schools aren't intended as one size fits all. There are schools, there are local schools that should be supported and funded as much as possible locally. They need to be controlled by us because that's Nebraska's way.
Hello, my name is Delwyn Hodgson. I live in Lincoln, Northeast Lincoln. George is my representative. I want to thank all of you, though, for the excessive amount of time that you spend beyond an 8-hour day servicing our needs as citizens. My wife and I, we own 2 residential homes. One we live in, one we're selling to our son. Every year when we file our property taxes, we get a property tax credit. To us, that's property tax relief. My family also owns and operates a farm in southwest Sarpent County, about 320 acres. I'm very familiar with the finances, the budgets, and expenses that go with farming. I can tell you, as a partnership, every year when we file the tax return, we get a property tax credit. It makes us smile. We're pleased with it. In short, our family doesn't see any issues with the taxation system here in Nebraska. We know it's our civic duty to support our government and to support our schools. On the last note, I work part-time for a property management company. Part of it is government leases, part of it is commercial leases. All of our leases are structured such that property taxes are the burden of the tenant. If they go up, their rent goes up. If they go down, their rent goes down. Again, thank you very much for all your time out here.
Jake Hoppy with Hoppy Development. We are an affordable housing real estate development company, and just wanted to echo a few of the concerns that were brought up by some of the previous speakers. The first one being the concern about the manner in which this is being rolled out. It's a very quick timeline, of course, and very difficult to understand the impact on affordable housing development. On the surface, reducing property taxes would seem to present a benefit for the potential tenant or for the tenants of those real estate developments. But in practice, much of that would be absorbed by converting from what is now a property tax into an income tax, muting the benefit to the tenant, as well as not sure, it's more in the business of sort of ongoing development or new affordable housing production, unsure whether that benefit will simply accrue to the current landowner from whom we need to purchase land from, or will actually be reflected for the tenants that we hope to serve. The next thing is just around implementation. Typically, these are very long duration projects of which we have fixed our debt and equity in a certain period of time, and we really don't have flexibility to increase those in spite of what might happen if a subsequent sales tax is imposed midway through the project that the project now has to absorb. As well as the concern about TIF, which has been a catalyst and tool in development in a wide variety of contexts. How do we think about who is sort of the beneficiary and I guess loser in a situation where tax increment financing has been a key tool to catalyze the development. So in all, we are desperately looking for what sort of model is this following and what were the impacts of that model where it was implemented, and trying to understand if this would be a benefit to the production of affordable housing or to the detriment. But given the very short timeline that we all have to understand it, just find it nearly impossible to be able to understand the externalities. Thank you.
Melissa Money Beecher. I am a registered independent, and I've voted in every election for over 35 years. Not just the major elections, every election. I've lived in the same house for 24 years. It's a modest house. It has no granite countertops. It has the same countertops that were in there 24 years ago. Property taxes have hugely increased. We are now paying $570 a month, which is going to go up for next year. And that doesn't include utilities, it doesn't include insurance, it doesn't include car taxes, it doesn't include income tax, it doesn't include food, any other living expenses. That's $570 just in taxes on our house. There's not a lot of people that can continue to afford these property taxes that continue to go up in Lincoln. We will be retiring in less than 10 years. We are making plans to move somewhere else because we're forced to by the property taxes. And you're my representative, and I'm glad to see you here. These are heartbreaking stories from these people that have a 750 square feet house and can barely afford to live in that house. This is heartbreaking. You guys have to do something. I don't care if they're pushing you to hurry up and do something. You gotta help these little middle income people. We can afford this $570 a month in property taxes, but we're gonna move. We're moving. We're making plans to move in the next 10 years when we retire, and you're losing good people. I started a nonprofit in Lincoln. For the last 15 years, I've been helping animals for free with 30 to 50 hours a week. So you're losing a good citizen. So you're losing somebody that cares about animals, that cares about this community, and you're gonna lose a lot of middle income, low income, anybody that's smart is gonna leave the state. So I hope you guys do something. It needs to go down at least 40%, if not more. You've got to help these people.
Hi, my name is Michael Jensen. I'm a Lincoln resident, and I'm a Senator Dungan's district. And we're talking about property taxes, and I would like just to bring up, there's a group that owns real property that doesn't pay property taxes. These groups and organizations, though, do benefit from property taxes. They benefit from an educated workforce. They get police and fire protection, but they're not paying property taxes. They're not paying property taxes, sorry about that. And, you know, I would hope that as you go in and take a good look at this property tax issue, that you would take a look at the equity. They're receiving benefits that I'm subsidizing them, and every person in here who pays property taxes is subsidizing those benefits to those groups that are not paying property taxes, that own real property. So thank you for your time, thank you for being here.
Good evening. I'm Valerie Herbert, and I thank you first for being here. I live in Lincoln. I'm in Senator Wishart's area. I just wanted to say that I'm a short, little, fat, redhead realtor, but I love Nebraska. I moved back. We moved away 30 years ago for business opportunities. We moved back because there was no way in Hades my kids were ever going to leave Nebraska, and they just happened to have the grandchildren. So we moved back. But I want to tell you, in my real estate business, 30% of the people in my age group are moving out of state. 30% of they tell you sell to your sphere of influence. They're not buying in Nebraska right now because of the personal property taxes. And I know that we're not asking you to come up with a miracle on 10th Street. What we're asking you to do is do your part in lowering things just a little bit. Make sure you understand what you're being asked to vote for. When you, and I apologize for this, but when you fight in the legislature and burn up 2 legislative sessions instead of helping your constituents, shame on you. Shame on you as legislators. Because I lived in Nebraska for 40-some years. I never knew whether anybody was Democratic, Republican, or Independent. That isn't happening now. I know exactly which party you are representing based on how you vote and what you say and the names you call people. And when I call and ask to have lunch with a senator so I can explain to him what's going on, I get told they may not be able to sit with me because other senators get mad at them. Why? I'm sorry, this is not kindergarten. Stop being Democratic, stop being Republican, and speak up and be Nebraskan. Because I'm tired of the garbage that you guys are putting us all through in the legislature. Vote the way you're supposed to save Nebraskans and keep them here in the state, and stop playing your word games.
It's going to be tough to follow. My name is John Markey. Like I see Senator Dungan, my representative in the legislature here. I want to bring up what the gentleman brought up earlier, the income tax. In Nebraska, if you have approximately $35,000 in taxable income, you're in the same bracket as Pete Ricketts, as Jim Dillon, as Warren Buffett. I think it would be appropriate before raising sales tax to look at higher brackets with at least modestly higher rates for those higher brackets. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ross Larson.
Hang on, just 1 second. If anybody else would like to get in line, we have time for probably 10 more people. So just want to let you know. Go ahead and get in line if you'd like to. You don't have to if everything's been said. But I just want to be cognizant of time, so thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Ross Larson. I'm from rural Omaha, and I own some farmland. The rest of my property taxes are too high. But one of the things I'm most concerned about with the governor's proposal is the stability of funding for public schools. Because my grandchildren roll their eyes when I tell them that the first year I started college, tuition at the University of Nebraska was $180 a semester. And they're paying many thousands. And the strategy over the past 30 years or so was every time there's an economic recession, we ratchet down the funding for higher education, and when the economy comes back, we don't replace it. And with that has come higher tuition costs. How are public schools going to survive in an environment like that? And from the many drawbacks of the property taxes, and I acknowledge that they exist, they're stable funding, and I hope you're able to address that concern. Thank you very much.
My name is Tom Hochmeyer. I lived most of my life in Senator Walz's district, but I'm a present resident of Lincoln in Senator Ballard's district. My uncle, a fellow by the name of Ross Rasmussen, was a state senator and co-introducer of the three-legged stool bill. At the time, the taxes were all collected by property tax, which fit the pre-World War II economy. We really haven't taken a clean look at the economy and the whole tax system since 1967. And as you well know, we've gone from an agrarian economy with small shops to, big box stores replacing shops, to bigger box stores, to doing everything online and a digital and information-based economy. I would urge you to start with a clean sheet of paper and figure out how to fund all levels of government, from local government and schools to state government. I like the idea of a local income tax because it at least would be getting to businesses and people. We have lots of businesses, for instance, in this city that employ lots of people, have very little property. Their employees put lots of kids in schools, and I think the schools are wonderful, but all of that has been a tax shift from the businesses to the individual homeowners, and I don't think that's right. In addition, another suggestion that I would make, don't just look at brackets with respect to income taxes, but figure out where everyone is in terms of income distribution and make sure that their sales tax, their property tax, and their income tax all reflect that income distribution.
Thank you for hosting these sessions. It's really nice to be listened to. My name is Marilyn Moore. I live in Lincoln. It's been our home for more than 50 years. I'm represented by Senator Raybould, and I so appreciate her willingness to listen to constituents and to seek legislative sessions that serve Nebraskans well. And I heard every one of you say that same thing when you introduced yourselves today, so thank you for that. We own our home in Lincoln, and we also own farmland in Red Willow County, inherited from my parents and farmed by my nephew. So yes, we pay property taxes on our home and on that farmland. We also buy stuff and we use services, so we pay sales taxes. And we pay state and federal income taxes. I don't know if the governor's proposal will be a financial benefit to my husband and me. I haven't tried to figure that out. Partly there's not enough information to figure that out. But even if it were, that's not what matters most to me. What matters most to me as a citizen is that our legislators have the time and take the time to study issues carefully, to gather as much information as possible, to weigh multiple options, and to consider the consequences and the impacts of those options on all of the people in Nebraska. And frankly, I don't think 2 weeks is enough time to do that. I believe you've been given a very, very difficult task. I appreciate that you're showing up, and I know you will do hard work. I don't think it's I don't think it can be done in 2 weeks well. Some ideas about what's been proposed, as others have said, property taxes will be paid by people who own property. That will be the people who benefit. People who don't own property won't have that benefit. They will pay more in sales tax, and generally the regressive sales tax hurts those who have the least. And I don't think that serves all Nebraskans well. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I know you bring good hearts and good minds to this, and I'm grateful for that.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Connell. Senator Conrad is my senator. I guess I'm an advocate of the three-legged stool. I'd be glad to pay less in property tax. Our farm, we pay about half of our rental income to property tax, which doesn't leave much for improvements or major shifting that burden to the poorer people, perhaps, or all of us in sales tax. But we don't hear much about people who actually are lucky to have good income being willing to pay more income tax. And I would really would propose that we adjust our brackets so that some that are quite wealthy could pay a little more in the care of the state. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark Legault, and I live in Lincoln. I live in Senator Raybould's district. And I was a teacher for 46 years. I retired in 2020, 29 years here at LPS. And I would tell you that when I came to LPS in 1991 from Indiana, I was astounded at what an amazing district it is. And I haven't seen a whole lot of change in it. I still believe that. And I was the one that would tell colleagues, oh, you need to do something else because it's a great district. In the Des Moines Register of May 2nd, there was an article about Wells Fargo Bank. And it said that on the same day that the executive committee or the shareholder meeting of Wells Fargo that granted the president of the bank, or CEO, $4.5 million compensation bonus, or compensation raise. Same day they announced that 40 people at the Jordan Parkway Wells Fargo Center in Des Moines were going to be laid off. I think that so shows me what it's like in this country, because the wealthy, they don't get it. And you know, they're totally clueless. And so, you know, I think property tax relief would be great. But I guess I have a problem. You want to know where to raise money? I don't want my money going to a private school. I do not want to pay for religious instruction, and I do not believe as a citizen of the United States that I should have to. And that better not happen. So, I tell you, I'm gratefully here today because I'm sure you didn't roll out of bed this morning and think this is where I want to be. Because of people who get upset. And as far as where the money comes from, think about who's got disposable income and who doesn't.
Hello, thank you all for being here today. My name is Eckerbell.
One moment, sorry. Senator John Cavanaugh has joined us, and he had a prior commitment in Omaha, so he hopefully didn't get stopped by the State Patrol, but he's here now. Thank you. Everybody could just line back up. That'd be great. Senator Cavanaugh would really like everyone to repeat that.
The last day.
Yeah. No, so I'm so sorry. But also, I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people left in line, so we can probably handle about 3 or 4 more beyond that. If you'd like, again, please, you don't have to, but if you'd like to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Again, my name is Eckerbell. I am a resident of Lincoln. I've been a property owner since '04. I own a small business. I serve as Chief Financial Officer for lots of small businesses, in accounting and small business advisory. So agree with all the stories and things said here today. Taxes are crazy, not just property tax, but across the board. And I'm all for cutting taxes, but I'm not a fan of this plan, and I think shifting money is not the answer. I also think that the timeline is not advantageous, and it appears to be very self-serving to the public. What I would like to say is that I think the state needs to seriously consider the legalization of marijuana. Not only would it solve the property tax problems, but so many beyond that. As well as from an industry and small business standpoint, there's a lot of opportunity. I worked in federal regulations, compliance, FDA, approving drugs in my career, and it can be done, and there is a lot of benefits that I think should be looked at this across the board. valuations that don't make sense, we hit and miss in our area. It's like, you know, we'll go up 40% and the neighbors down the road are about 10% maybe increase. But I don't want you to rush into making any big decisions because this needs to take time and you've got a lot of people concerned. I'm concerned about the middle and lower class which struggle with the increases that the governor wants to make across the state of Nebraska. I taught at Goodrich for years, and it's a very low-income area with a lot of special needs, and they can't lose anything. Schools in the last few years have been told you to cut back. You got to cut back here, you got to cut back there, and it's the state of Nebraska who's telling us to cut back. And these are not frivolous purchases that all the schools are making. I said about it Malcolm, and we're always having to cut back. It's not a big school district, but it's like we have to cut back more and more. Nebraska education is one of the finest in the United States. Public education cannot be sacrificed for any reason. Most of Nebraska attends public schools. I come from Dungan County. There are no private schools in Dungan County at all. Those schools would get affected highly by the cuts that they're going to get if Helen succeeds in taking away some of the funding for public schools. It needs to be taken care of in an appropriate way. Thank you.
Hello. I've kind of been on a little traveling adventure for quite some time in my hometown. I retired from FedEx in 2017. Took a trip to Denver for 5 years and then decided to raise my family in Lincoln, get back closer to mom and dad. I recognize you, FedEx, to be in our corporate office in Lincoln. I suppose you're coming. But we all need to pray for these people. This weighs on your hearts. We need to get back to basics. God, family, country. Everything I'm hearing, I hear all over the country traveling, and the things that I see need to be fixed. And it is you guys from Nebraska that can start making me wait, don't judge people. Till you've walked in my shoes, maybe you'll understand why I live in the neighborhood these days. And that's everybody's story here. 90% of us. The money keeps going this way. I thought that's what we left and came to America for, to get away from. But I'm from Polk County, next to Platte County, where Governor Dungan is from. I hear good things about all of you, but we just got to start meeting in the middle, and it's getting back to basics. Thank you. My name's Merv, and I met this young gentleman right there the other day in the front office of here. And boy, did we have quite a conversation, because his last name's Dungan. We're both going to go get Larry the Cavanaugh and tell him he's spelled that wrong. It's D-U-N-N.
Hello, my name is Kathy Messner. I'm an attorney and a real estate developer from Central City, Nebraska. I have been appointed by 3 Republican governors to the Commission on Housing and Homelessness, so I've spent about 16 or 17 years on that commission. And my husband Cliff and I have operated a real estate development business for about 35 years, doing affordable housing across mostly rural Nebraska. I can tell you that the #1 reason people are leaving Nebraska is not the property tax, it's the lack of housing in Nebraska. And we have statistics that prove that. And the reason that housing prices or the reason that your taxes are going up is because we have a lack of housing in Nebraska. And construction costs have outpaced wages in Nebraska. And all of those reasons are contributing to the problem that we have with property taxes, okay? So if you look at this from the other end of things, where instead of cutting the property taxes, we start investing in the things that help help expand the tax base and bring property taxes down for people. That's where I believe we need to be starting. The increase in sales taxes, on construction and repair goods and services is not going to help us. Okay. Am I done already? Okay. Anyway, take a close look at those things.